Stories are a bridge. They connect knowledge with the heart, making learning a living experience. When you hear a story, you don't just hear words. You don't just hear sounds or sentences. You begin to see a picture in your mind, a picture that speaks to you in a way rules and grammar books never could. A story reaches beyond the mind. It goes down into the heart. It paints the lesson with colors that are unforgettable. That is why stories have always been the way people pass down wisdom, from one generation to the next. Long before schools, long before textbooks, people sat around fires. Parents spoke to children. Teachers spoke to students, and they used stories to shape lives. And it is no different with learning English. You may learn a list of words, you may study rules, and that has its place. But when you hear those words in a story, something changes. The language takes on life. The words no longer float like loose leaves in the air. They are rooted in the soil of meaning. They begin to grow. They begin to connect with you, not as something far away, but as something you can feel, something you can live. Think for a moment about the first stories you ever heard. Maybe it was your mother or your father reading to you as a child. Maybe it was a teacher in a classroom. Maybe it was an elder in your family telling you of things long ago. Those words stayed with you because they were wrapped in story. And in the same way, when you listen to English stories, the words become more than just vocabulary. They become part of your own memory, your own experience. You don't just remember the words, you remember the feeling. Stories have a way of reaching the heart where mere information cannot. Information tells you what to know, but a story shows you how to live it. When you listen to an English story, you're not just learning the sound of the words, you're walking through the world that those words create. You begin to feel the weight of the language, the rhythm, the pulse. You hear how words are spoken in joy, in sorrow, in hope, in fear. And when you feel that, when you experience it, learning is no longer a burden. It becomes natural. It becomes alive. There are many who think, I cannot learn this language. It's too hard. I forget too quickly. But I tell you, when you wrap your learning in story, it's different, because your heart does not forget what your mind may struggle with. The heart holds on to what it loves, and stories give you that connection. That is why, even today, people remember the stories they heard in childhood, even when they cannot recall a lesson from school. The story is alive in them. Now think about this. Every time you hear an English story, you are crossing a bridge. On one side is where you are now, the struggle, the confusion, the hesitation. On the other side is where you want to be, the confidence, the fluency, the freedom to express yourself. And every story you listen to, every page you read, every word you repeat, it is another step across that bridge. Slowly, surely, step by step, you move closer to the other side. And when you reach the other side, you realize something powerful. The story was not just about the characters, it was also about you. It was about your journey, your growth, your courage to keep going. You see, stories don't just teach English, they teach life. They remind us of patience, of resilience, of faith in the process. And if you let them, they will carry you further than you ever thought possible. So do not underestimate the power of story. It is more than entertainment. It is more than practice. It is a bridge, and it will take you where you need to go. Step onto it and keep walking, because every story you learn brings you one step closer to becoming the speaker you dream of being. That is the power of stories. They connect knowledge with the heart, making learning a living experience. Every word is a seed when spoken. It grows into confidence and understanding. Think about that for a moment. A seed by itself looks so small, so simple, so ordinary. But inside that seed there is life. Inside that seed there is growth. Inside that seed there is a tree, there is fruit, there is shade for others to rest under. And in the same way, every word you learn, every word you speak, has life in it. It carries the power to grow, to strengthen you, to build you into someone who can stand tall in any conversation, in any place, at any time. When you first begin to speak English, it may feel awkward. The words may come out slowly, like a seed just beginning to push through the soil. You may feel unsure, like it won't survive, but don't lose heart. Every time you speak a word, you are planting. You may not see the full result right away, but something is happening deep within. Something is taking root, and over time, that small seed begins to grow into confidence. Confidence does not appear all at once. It is planted, watered, and nurtured through practice. Just as a farmer does not plant in the morning and expect a harvest by evening, you cannot speak a word today and expect perfect fluency tomorrow. But if you keep planting, day by day, sentence by sentence, thought by thought, you will see change, you will see growth, you will stand stronger than you ever imagined. Every time you repeat a new word, you are watering that seed. Every time you use that word in a sentence, you are giving it sunlight. Every time you hear that word spoken by others, you are enriching the soil around it. And one day, without even realizing it, you will find that word has become part of you. You won't have to force it. You won't have to struggle for it. It will flow naturally because it has grown deep roots in your memory and in your heart. There are people who say, "I'm afraid to speak. I might make mistakes. I might sound foolish." But what they don't understand is this: the seed of confidence is not planted in silence. It is planted in speaking. A seed kept in a drawer never grows. A word kept inside, never spoken, never tested, never shared, will wither and die. But when you speak it, even imperfectly, even with hesitation, it has the chance to live, and once it lives, it can grow. Do not despise small beginnings. A child's first steps are wobbly, uncertain, unsteady. But those steps are celebrated because they mean growth, they mean progress, they mean the child is becoming strong, and so it is with you. Your first words, your first sentences in English may not sound smooth. They may come out haltingly, but they are steps. They are proof that you are moving forward, and the more you walk, the more you speak, the stronger you will become. And here is something even greater. As your words grow, they do not only build your confidence, they also bring understanding. When you speak, you test what you know. You begin to see how words fit together, how ideas connect, how thoughts are expressed. Speaking reveals not only what you have learned, but also what you still need to learn. And in that process, understanding deepens. You begin to see patterns, to hear rhythms, to grasp meanings that once seemed hidden. So do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait until you think you have mastered everything. Speak now, plant now, because every word you speak today is a seed that will bear fruit tomorrow. And the more you plant, the richer the harvest will be. One day you will look back and realize that the fear you once had is gone. The hesitation that once held you back has disappeared. In its place stands confidence, steady, firm, unshakable, and all of it began with small seeds, simple words, spoken again and again until they grew into something strong and lasting. Every word is a seed, and when spoken, it grows into confidence and understanding. Listening is receiving. Speaking is giving. You cannot give what you have not received. That truth runs deep, not only in language, but in life itself. Before a tree gives fruit, it must first draw from the soil, from the rain, from the sun. Before a lamp gives light, it must first be filled with oil. And before a person can speak with strength, with clarity, with confidence, they must first receive the words, the sounds, the rhythm of the language. Listening is where it begins. When you listen, you are not wasting time. You are gathering, you are storing up treasure that will one day be poured out in your speaking. Too many people rush to speak before they have taken the time to listen, and what happens? Their words feel weak, broken, disconnected. But when you have listened deeply, when you have filled yourself with the sounds of English, your words will carry weight. They will have life in them. Think of a river. A river does not begin wide and strong. It begins with drops of rain, streams, and springs that flow together. Listening is like those streams. Every conversation you hear, every story you follow, every lesson you take in. They gather inside you, building up a river that can one day flow out of your own mouth. If you neglect listening, your river will run dry. But if you listen daily, faithfully, patiently, then when the time comes to speak, your river will be strong and full. There is a reason we have 2 ears and only 1 mouth. It is because listening comes first. A child learns to listen long before he ever speaks. He listens to the voices around him. He hears the tone, the rhythm, the melody of speech, and slowly he begins to give back what he has received. That is how you learned your first language, and that is how you will grow in English too. Listening prepares the ground, and speaking is the harvest. Yet listening is not a passive act. It is not just sound entering your ears. Listening requires attention. It requires focus. When you listen to an English story, you are training your mind to receive the shape of the language. You are learning how words rise and fall, how sentences breathe, how emotions are carried in sound. And with every moment of listening, you are filling your storehouse. One day, when you open your mouth to speak, that storehouse will give back what it has received. But if you try to speak without listening, you are like a well that has no water. You may lower the bucket, but it will come up empty. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot share words you have never heard. That is why listening is not just the first step. It is a continual step. The best speakers are lifelong listeners. They never stop receiving because they know their giving depends on it. And do not forget this. Listening also builds humility. To listen is to admit that you do not yet know it all. To listen is to open yourself to learn from another. It takes patience. It takes discipline. But in that patience, in that humility, comes strength. Because the one who listens well will one day speak well. So, if you want to become a better speaker, do not rush. Do not try to leap ahead without building your foundation. Listen every day. Listen to stories, to conversations, to lessons. Fill your heart and mind with the language. And when the time comes, speak boldly, give freely, because the more you have received, the more you will be able to give. Listening is receiving, speaking is giving. You cannot give what you have not received. Growth requires practice. Fluency doesn't come in a day. It comes step by step, like walking a long road. We live in a world that often wants instant results. People want to press a button and have everything happen right away. But language doesn't work that way. Fluency is not a gift that falls from the sky. It is not a shortcut that you can buy. It is a journey, and like every journey worth taking, it requires patience, endurance, and practice. Think about a road stretching out before you. At the beginning, it may look long. You may wonder if you will ever reach the end. You may feel tired just looking at how far it goes, but you take the first step. Then another, and before long, you have covered more ground than you ever thought possible. That is how fluency is built, not in a single day, not in a single week, but in steady, faithful practice. Every word you learn, every sentence you speak, is a step on that road. Some steps may feel heavy, some may feel uncertain, but each one moves you forward, and even when you stumble, even when you make mistakes, you are still moving ahead. A stumble is not the end of the journey. It is simply a reminder that you are learning to walk stronger. Growth never comes without effort. No tree grows tall without seasons of wind and rain. No athlete becomes strong without training. And no speaker becomes fluent without practice. You cannot expect to wake up one morning and speak English like it is your first language if you have not walked the road of practice. You must put in the hours. You must speak when it feels awkward. You must listen when it feels slow. You must keep showing up, step after step. And here is something important. Practice is not just about repeating words. It is about building habits. The small things you do daily shape who you become. If you give just 15 minutes a day to listening and speaking, it may seem small, but like drops of rain filling a jar, over time it adds up. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and before long you look back and realize the road behind you is longer than the road ahead. Do not let impatience steal your progress. Too many people quit because they expect fluency to come quickly. They forget that even a child takes years before speaking with ease. Why should you expect less of yourself? Be patient with your journey. Celebrate the small victories. Each new word, each new phrase, each new conversation is proof that you are growing. Practice also requires courage. It takes courage to speak when you are unsure. It takes courage to keep going when you feel you are not improving fast enough. But courage is born in practice. Every time you open your mouth, every time you push through your hesitation, your courage grows. And courage will carry you further down the road than fear ever could. There will be days when you feel discouraged, when progress feels slow, when the road seems endless. But remember this, even slow progress is still progress. A traveler who walks 1 mile a day will one day complete a journey of 1,000 miles. It is not about speed, it is about consistency. Keep moving, keep practicing, because every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to fluency. And one day, you will realize you have arrived at a place you once thought was impossible. You will speak with confidence, you will listen with ease, you will express yourself freely. And when you do, you will know it was not a shortcut, not a trick, not an instant result. It was faithful, steady, daily practice that brought you there. Growth requires practice, and fluency doesn't come in a day. It comes step by step, like walking a long road. Courage overcomes fear. Speak, even when you make mistakes. Mistakes are proof that you are moving forward. Every person who has ever learned to speak, whether it was their first language or a second, has walked this same road. Fear is the greatest enemy of growth because fear keeps your mouth closed. Fear tells you, wait until you are perfect, wait until you are sure, wait until you will not be embarrassed. But if you wait until that day, you will never begin. The only way to overcome fear is to have the courage to open your mouth and speak, even when you know you may fall short. Think about a child who is just learning to walk. That child does not stay seated because he is afraid of falling. He stands, he stumbles, he falls, and then he stands again. Each fall is not failure, it is progress. Every step that ends in a fall is still a step forward, and before long, those wobbly steps become steady strides. It is the same with speaking English. Your mistakes are not a wall to stop you. They are stepping stones to carry you forward. The truth is this: the only people who do not make mistakes are the ones who never try, and the ones who never try never learn. So when you make a mistake, do not let shame cover you. Do not let fear silence you. Instead, recognize that mistake for what it is, a sign that you are learning, a sign that you are daring to move beyond where you were yesterday. Every mistake carries within it the seed of progress if you will only keep going. Courage does not mean you will never feel afraid. Courage means you move forward in spite of fear. When your voice trembles, when your tongue struggles, when your mind searches for the right word and cannot find it, speak anyway. Because every time you choose courage, your fear grows weaker. And every time you let fear keep you silent, your courage grows weaker. You must decide which one will rule you. There are many learners who spend years studying, reading, memorizing, and yet they never open their mouths. They know the rules, they know the grammar, they know the vocabulary, but they do not have the courage to use it. And so all that knowledge lies dormant, like a seed never planted in the ground. Knowledge alone will not make you fluent. It is courage that unlocks the door to growth. When you speak, even with mistakes, something powerful happens. You discover where your strength already lies, and you discover where you need to grow. Mistakes are teachers. They point the way forward. They show you what you need to practice, what you need to hear again, what you need to try once more. Without mistakes, there can be no true progress. Just as a sculptor shapes stone by chipping away, you shape your speech by daring to speak and daring to fail. Do not forget this. The people you speak with are not against you. Most will admire your courage. Most will respect your effort. And even if they do not, even if someone laughs or criticizes, your growth is not in their hands. Your growth is in your own courage, your own willingness to keep speaking in the face of fear. And the more you speak, the more you will find that those who once criticized cannot stop your progress. There is a freedom that comes when you accept mistakes as part of the journey. Instead of hiding from them, you welcome them. Instead of running from them, you learn from them. And with every mistake, your fear loses its grip and your courage grows stronger. One day, you will look back and realize that the mistakes you once feared were actually the very proof that you were on the right path. They were signs of life, signs of movement, signs that you were not standing still. And you will see that courage, not perfection, is what carried you to fluency. Courage overcomes fear. Speak even when you make mistakes. Mistakes are proof that you are moving forward. Your voice has power when you learn. When you speak, you shape not only your own future but also the lives of those around you. Too often, people underestimate their own voice. They think, "Who will listen to me? What difference can I make? My words are small, my accent is strong, my grammar is not perfect." But let me tell you, your voice carries more weight than you realize. It is not only about the words you speak, but the life, the courage, and the hope that those words carry. Every time you speak, you are planting something in the world. Words can build, and words can destroy. Words can lift up, and words can tear down. That is why learning to speak with confidence and clarity is not only about personal success. It is about influence. It is about shaping your path and impacting the paths of those who walk beside you. When you learn English and begin to use it, doors begin to open. Opportunities appear that once seemed far away. You can study in places you never imagined. You can work in fields that once felt out of reach. You can meet people from different lands, understand their stories, share your own. And when those doors open for you, they do not open for you alone. They open for your family, for your children, for your community. Because when one person rises, others rise with them. Your voice becomes a bridge for others to cross. Think of history. Think of leaders, teachers, writers, preachers, parents. People who stood and spoke words that changed lives. They were not born with perfect speech. Many of them were once afraid, once weak, once unsure. But they discovered the power of their voice. They chose to speak anyway, and their words echoed far beyond their own time. In the same way, your voice carries a power you cannot measure. You may think you are only speaking to a small group, but you never know how far your words will travel. A word of encouragement today could shape a life tomorrow. A story shared in English could inspire someone you may never even meet. Do not think learning English is only about getting a job or passing a test. It is bigger than that. It is about equipping yourself to influence. It is about preparing your voice to reach further, to touch more hearts, to bring more change. Because when you can speak, you can connect. And when you can connect, you can lead. But remember this. Power without responsibility is dangerous. The same voice that can encourage can also discourage. The same voice that can heal can also wound. That is why, as you grow in English, as you gain confidence, you must also choose wisely how you use your words. Speak to build, not to break. Speak to bring light, not to spread darkness. Let your voice be a source of strength, not a tool of harm. And here is the beautiful truth. When you use your voice with courage and kindness, you not only shape others, you also shape yourself. You become stronger. You begin to believe in yourself. You begin to see your own worth. And that belief gives you even more courage to keep speaking, to keep learning, to keep moving forward. Your voice has power to carry your dreams into reality. It has power to cross barriers of culture and distance. It has power to bring people together, to build understanding where there was division, to bring peace where there was conflict. And in a world that often feels divided, your voice can be the bridge that reminds us we are not so different after all. So do not be silent. Do not hide your words. Do not bury your voice in fear. Learn with all your heart. Speak with all your courage, because your voice has power. When you learn, when you speak, you shape not only your own future, but also the lives of those around you. Thank you for joining me on this journey of learning through stories, where every word is a seed and every step brings growth. Remember, listen deeply, speak boldly, and let courage guide you even when mistakes come. Your voice has power. Use it to shape your future and inspire those around you. If this message encouraged you, give this video a like so more learners can be lifted up. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that will help you grow in confidence every day.